Hi guys, Jaleesa here. Today I am going to be giving you all the facts, the rundown on protective styles. I have been wanting to do this video for a very long time and now I am just getting the chance to do it. In this video, you'll learn about like everything I've learned over the years. Basically, I started YouTube in 2014 and one of my first videos was me with Senegalese twists, and from there I did box braids, and then I moved into Havana twist, and then I moved into crochet styles, and now I'm doing like the individual. This is my first time doing individual crochet. If you're interested in seeing a tutorial review on this hair, I do have a video already up on my channel, but I'm going to get into all of the facts you need to know about protective styling. Alright you guys, so one of the first things I want to talk about as far as protective styling goes is basically how to maintain it. So I wrap my hair up every single night. If you want to make your protective style last, that's something that you want to do, and I got a video all about it, but I usually just put my hair in a ponytail or up in a bun, and that is basically, I tie a satin scarf around it, and that is basically how I take care of my protective styles. I've been doing that for years. Like whenever I do a protective style, always, because I don't want to lay down at night when I go to sleep and end up rubbing my edges out or anything like that. The second thing, how I keep my hair moisturized with the protective style. So usually people get protective styles all year round, but I like to mainly get protective styles in the winter time because that is when the air is, you know, the harshest on my hair. So I like to put my hair away for a little bit during the winter, and I usually have some type of leave-in conditioner or some type of restorative spray that I spray directly on my scalp just to moisturize my scalp, make sure the hair that's growing in is moisturized properly, and making sure that I am promoting that growth. Whenever you're doing a protective style, you don't want to overdo it. So what I mean when I say that is that, say for example, I have this protective style in for 4 weeks, and then right after I take this out, I move on and I put a protective style in right after I take this out, like no break in between, nothing. You guys, that's putting a lot of tension on your hair, and you want to be careful with that because if your hair isn't strong enough, it can eventually break off. So you want to make sure that you are caring for your hair underneath. Protective styles are good, but too much of one thing can be a bad thing, and that goes for anything in life. So what I do with my own hair before I do a protective style, anytime I do a protective style, I always make sure that I do a protein treatment. And I already do deep conditioning treatments every single week, but whenever I do a protein treatment, I always make sure that I keep it on for about 30 minutes, wash it out. That way I know that my hair is strong enough to withstand the protective style for the amount of weeks that I'm going to have it. And I usually keep my protective styles in for about 3 weeks or 2 weeks, and I take them out because since I'm on YouTube, I can't keep my protective styles in as long as I would normally keep them in. But usually protective styles will last you 4 to 6 weeks. And that leads me to my next point. You don't want to keep your protective styles in too long because usually when people do that, they are neglecting their hair. So it's good that you're doing a protective style because that means a low manipulation with your hair, but you want to make sure that you don't keep your protective style in too long because your hair will get matted. I have seen it happen before where people's hair have gotten matted because they've just been spraying that product on the scalp. And at the root, when they get ready to take their style out, it's just a matted mess, especially when you do like individual styles. I haven't seen it so much with crochet, but crochet can get to be the same way. It's just because your hair is put away for so long and all of that new growth is coming up, the dirt is building up, and it's just going to cause for a nightmare when it's time for wash day. Not only taking out the braids is going to be tough for you, but when you get ready to wash your hair, it's going to be tough because you have to go through that detangling process, and it's not good. You don't want to keep it in too long. The other thing that you guys really need to pay attention to, if you are going to someone to get your hair in a protective style, you want to make sure that that person is not braiding too tight. because when you have a lot of tension on your hair can break off, especially if you have not been doing any protein treatments in your hair regimen. So make sure if someone is braiding tight on your hair that you speak up and say, it's too tight, can you loosen up a little bit? And even if you are doing your own hair like what I do, just make sure you're paying attention to what you're doing and you're not putting a lot of tension on your hair. Usually it's pretty good. Like if you're doing your own hair, you know how to measure, you know, how tight to braid your hair and all of that good stuff. So yeah, make sure you pay attention to that, because I have seen horror stories where people, even with sew-ins, they can be a good thing, but if someone is getting in your head and they're braiding too tight, and too much tension can cause your hair to just come out, break off, all of that stuff. So pay attention to that. Something with crochet I have seen with a couple of people, if you are doing crochet too much, think about it. When you're doing crochet, you are sliding a needle under your braids and you are putting hair on and then you're sliding it back through. Too much of that can be a bad thing as well, because you can be breaking off your hair. So make sure you are extra careful when you're doing crochet, because it's an awesome protective style to do, but if you are not careful, you will break off your hair strands. You will. And you can also rub out your hair on your scalp if you are not careful. That's why I say protein treatments are so important. Make sure your strands are strong enough to withstand your protective style. Another thing that I want to share with you guys, your edges. Your edges do not always have to be slayed. I do not spend 10-15 minutes on my edges every single day making sure that they're slayed, because I just don't care that much. But when I do, of course, I go in with my edge controls or my gels to make sure my edges are slayed. But you don't have to do that every day, especially with those harsh brushes. I use a soft bristle brush, and that's what I use to lay my edges, or I will use a toothbrush to lay my edges. But you want to be careful not to use that hard bristle brush every single day to lay your edges, because you can end up rubbing your edges out, and that's not a good look, you guys. People asked me before you wash your hair when you have a protective style, and guys, I did that one time, and when I did it, I was like, nope, I'm not doing it again, because I think at the time I had box braids, and I mean, it got my scalp clean, but the whole process of drying synthetic hair, it was just a mess. Water was everywhere because my hair was so wet, it was heavy, and it's just something I don't want to deal with, because I'm not keeping my hair in for that long. I mean, kudos to you if you want to go through that. But depending on the type of protective style that you have, you might not want to do that. So for example, this hair that I have now, I would not go in and wash my hair, because the style, the curls at the end, they would not be there anymore probably, and it would just cause for a big mess. And I don't keep my protective styles in that long anyway, so yeah, I wouldn't recommend washing the hair. If anything, if you want to try to clean your scalp a little bit, maybe use a dry shampoo. But yeah, I would not submerge my hair in a shower, underwater, or in a bathtub or anything like that to wash my hair. So another thing, I know I talked about tension a little bit. Whenever you are styling your protective styles, which is something I like to do, when you're styling protective styles, you want to be careful not to put a lot of tension on your hair in that way either. So like if you are doing styles and you are basically pulling the hair in the front back to make a ponytail, or you are putting your hair up in a bun to make a ponytail, it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight. It's going to be pulling on the edges and even the other strands of your hair, and it's just not going to be good, especially if you are doing that every single day. So be careful when you are styling your protective styles as well. Alright you guys, so that's about it for all of my protective styling tips. Hopefully you found this video helpful. Like I said, I have been doing protective styles for a very long time, and one thing that I always make sure, like if you take away anything from this video, make sure you already have a hair regimen in place, because protective styles can promote growth, and the reason being because you aren't manipulating your hair a lot. So just make sure you're deep conditioning your hair weekly before your protective styles. Make sure you do at least one protein treatment before you put your protective style in, so your hair will be strong enough to withstand it. And also make sure that after you take your protective style out, if it's been 4 weeks, make sure you do another protein treatment, deep conditioning afterwards. If you're going to put a protective style back in, make sure you have a little bit of time in between, at least 2-3 weeks before you put another one in, because like I said, too much tension on your hair will break it off. And you're going to be doing protective styles like I'm helping my hair grow, and if you're not taking care of your hair underneath, it's not going to grow. It's going to be basically all for nothing if your goal is to promote that hair growth. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!